Hello everyone, you're listening to Manner of Death, and this week's Manner of Death is homicide. Cindy Bringhurst. Cindy Bringhurst was born on August 29, 1968, in Pocatello, Idaho, to Nancy and Larry Cincio Bringhurst. She had just graduated from the Alameda Junior High School when something tragic would occur. Cindy, 14 at the time, disappeared from an apartment in Pocatello between 11:45 p.m. June 4th and 1:45 on the morning of June 5th. She was there babysitting. A month later, in July of 1983, her body was found in the Mink Creek by a fisherman. The woman whose child Cindy was watching said she last saw her at 11:45, and it was 2 hours later when she came home to discover the door unlocked, the television left on, and Cindy gone. Her child was safe, but some items, including a purse and set of keys, was missing. A week later, a shirt that was thought to have been stolen from the scene was recovered and a suspect identified for the theft. However, nothing ever became of these charges. What's interesting is that the police received a tip from an elderly woman who claimed she had psychic abilities and could help them find Cindy. She was never paid, and her information did lead them within 25 yards of where her body was found. So that's a little odd. Another occurrence in the Mink Creek area that happened on the night Cindy went missing was a summer party. So people were interviewed, but nothing substantial came from that either. Unfortunately, because of the water, it is unknown if Cindy was killed in that area or was later moved there. Much evidence was lost due to the damage caused by the water. Since then, her case has gone cold, and her family is left with no answers. Her parents have passed on, but she still has siblings and others who care about her who need to know what happened. If you have any information about Cindy Bringhurst's case, please call the Pocatello Police at 208-234-6100. Tina Anderson and Patricia Campbell. Tina Anderson, age 12, and Patricia Campbell, also known as Patsy, age 14, were friends and were at the Pioneer Day celebration at Pocatello, Idaho on July 22, 1978. They were last seen alive at the Alameda Park. When Tina didn't show up for her babysitting job later that day, her parents reported her missing to the police. It wasn't until 3 years later, in October of 1981, that their remains were found by hunters 60 miles away in Oneida County, specifically the area of 2 Mile Canyon. They were with their clothing items from the day they disappeared and .22 caliber bullet casings nearby. Their cause of death was most likely gunshot wounds. Witness accounts are that during the Pioneer Day celebration, teenagers were celebrating at the Alameda Park before being driven out to Moonlight Road, an area known for drinking. Afterwards, it was claimed they were dropped back off at the park, and Tina went to the neighbor she was babysitting for at this time. It was 6:30 p.m. The neighbor told her to come back at 7 o'clock, but she never did. This gives a much smaller window for the girls to go missing. There has not been any other significant leads for this case, but during the 1980s, some evidence that could have been useful had been lost when it was sent to the forensic labs for testing. Detectives working on this case admit that it is still active and they are working hard to close it. Let's help them out and get these girls some closure. If you have any information about Tina and Patricia's case, please contact the Pocatello Police at 208-234-6100. Aaron and Kevin Annett. 16-year-old Aaron and 13-year-old Kevin Annett were brothers living in eastern Idaho. During the summer of 1988, they were working a job moving irrigation pipes. It was on the morning of July 16, 1988, that they were last seen alive. Later that day, their bodies were found, beaten and shot in the Girth River bottoms. Aaron was found by some children that evening, while Kevin was later discovered by some searchers. Little is known about their case beyond this. There has been no new leads offered by law enforcement, and the case has gone cold. Aaron and Kevin's family hasn't had answers for a long time. Please, if you have any information that could help their case, contact the Blackfoot Police Department or use the state cold case tip line at 1-844-847-4040. Milo Glenn Damron. Milo Glenn Damron was born on May 27, 1907 in Bannock County, Idaho. Milo was a construction worker supporting his family in Income, Idaho, when on September 11, 1959, he was killed in his car 2 miles south of Blackfoot, Idaho. He had been stabbed with a weapon similar to a screwdriver and had been beaten on the upper portion of his body. It is thought that robbery could have been the reason, as he had $80 with him and some tools were missing. The weapon that killed him has never been found. He was discovered in his car the next day on September 12, 1959. Coincidentally, the night of his death, the annual week-long Eastern Idaho State Fair was also occurring in nearby Blackfoot. There have been no further leads in who could have done this to Milo. If you have any information that could help his case, please contact the Blackfoot, Idaho Police or the Bingham County Unit at 208-785-4440. Dorothy Catchpost. Dorothy Catchpost was born on February 8, 1950 in Chicago, Illinois. She had been living in Torrin, Idaho, where she was house-sitting a trailer for a truck driver with a friend. It was there on August 21, 2004, that she had been brutally beaten to death. That morning at 1 a.m., her friend left the trailer only to return at 5 a.m. to find Catchpost beaten but alive. She was taken to the hospital but passed away days later on August 26th. At the time, she was living a transient lifestyle, moving from truck stop to truck stop, making money by cleaning the trucks. Unfortunately, because of the area, with few friends and family, she was buried without their attendance. If you have any information about Dorothy's case, please contact the Idaho Cold Case Tip Line at 1-844-TIP-4040. Michael Clark Latham Davis. Michael Clark Latham Davis was born on November 16, 1978 in Blackfoot, Idaho. It was only a short time later, at the age of 2 months, that his life would be tragically cut short. On February 7, 1979, in Blackfoot, Idaho, his mother woke up to check on her son, only to find him deceased. There were 6 adults and 4 children in the house at the time. Upon investigation, it was discovered Michael's cause of death was a skull fracture. Law enforcement does not believe his death to have been accidental, which is why it was ruled a homicide. Since then, Michael's case has remained unsolved. If you have any information that could help his case, please contact the Blackfoot Police at 208-785-4440. Yazzie Plentywounds. Yazzie Plentywounds was born to parents Lyle Plentywounds and Ernestine Bailey on December 17, 1980, in Pocatello, Idaho. On February 15, 2007, Yazzie, aged 26, was found shot behind the Red Rock Church on the 1100 block of Roosevelt Street in Boise. That night, some neighbors called the police, stating they had heard gunfire, but because of the dark, they did not find anything at the time. A witness even said he had spotted a man running along Kootenai Street, but he didn't report it because he believed the noise was just fireworks or firecrackers. Little else has been revealed surrounding Yazzie's case, but he has loved ones who want answers for what happened to their young man. If you have any information that could help Yazzie's case, please contact the Idaho Cold Case Tip Line at 844-847-4040. Linda Diane Smith. Linda Smith was born on June 3, 1967 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. She was 14 years old when on the night of June 14, 1981, her life was taken from her in her home in Pocatello, Idaho. That night, Linda had been babysitting her younger brother, Ben, who at the time was only 9. Ben had fallen asleep and recalled being woken up at 2 a.m. to hear screaming and struggling. He woke up to see his sister being dragged out of the house by a man. Being 9 years old, Ben saw his sister get taken away in a van with flames painted on the side. He was the last person to see Linda alive. Because of the Smiths' financial and familial situation, Linda's mother was on welfare, and because Linda had attempted to run away before but came back the next day, the police thought this was just another runaway case. For that reason, police did not keep much evidence that could have helped identify Linda's killer. Her clothes were found a week later in a ditch, but it still was not enough to convince police that Linda was a victim of foul play. Almost a year later, her remains were discovered in another area of Pocatello. Due to the condition, her cause of death has never been given, but it is easy to know that her manner of death was a homicide. Linda Smith's case is another one that occurred during this time period where Pocatello girls were kidnapped and then murdered. However, there has never been an official connection made linking them together. Her younger brother Ben recalls that the perpetrator was a man in his 30s with dirty blonde hair who drove a van with flames pointed on the side. If you have any information that could help solve Linda's case, please call the Pocatello Police at 208-234-6121. Thomas Sherwood. Thomas Sherwood was a 41-year-old man living in his home near Pocatello, Idaho. On September 3, 2000, police were called to his home because someone believed he was a victim of suicide. Upon further investigation, police discovered he was murdered. He was found with 2 gunshot wounds in a crime scene that was purposely made to look like he took his own life. Since that fateful day, Thomas's case has gone cold. He still has people who care about him and would like to see his killer brought to justice. If you have any information that could help Thomas's case, please contact the Idaho Cold Case Tip Line at 1-844-TIP-4040. David Armando Fuentes. David Armando Fuentes was born on July 11, 1980. He was 19 years old and was in Burley, Idaho, the day he was killed. However, his case isn't a cold case in the sense that there are no suspects, but because the main suspect is wanted. Samuel Reza Rogel, who was born on January 12, 1976, which made him 23 years old at the time of David's death, is the number 1 suspect. He has a warrant out for his arrest for first-degree murder, but has yet to be captured. Samuel is described as a Hispanic male with dark hair who would now be 46 years old. If you have any idea on the whereabouts of Samuel or tips that could help capture him, please contact the Idaho Cold Case Tip Line at 1-844-TIP-4040. David and his family deserve to have some answers and justice. Hello everyone, it's me, Manner of Death. I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support and for watching my videos. I really appreciate all the things you do, especially when you comment or recommend me cases. Thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you in the next one.